Hello, everyone. This is a special rapid pod known as Quickies.
Candace is Quickies.
This is Quickies. I'm Candace.
I'm Rob Mackay.
And I'm Pearcey.
And this one in particular is about Mauls, in particular Maul's setup. And one where you guys can come back to time after time if you need clarification or just a bit of a refresh about Mauls. So, first to start with it, the definition of a Maul.
Go for it, Rob.
A Maul. And where do you think we'll find the definitions of a Maul? In the definitions of the law book. So, under M for Maul, a phase of play consisting of a ball carrier and at least one player from each team bound together and on their feet. So That's our starting point, ladies and gentlemen. And there's a few key elements in there. So remember that for future reference.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually really important to remember that because we have a lot of people not understanding that. Let's call a spade a spade. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of rugby. We get a lot of people don't understand this, and they can play it in so many different ways. Defenders not knowing what they can and can't do, attacking team not knowing what they can and can't do, and we get yelled at. He's got to let it go. No, he doesn't. So, as a referee, when do we most often see mauls?
Be typically off of a line out. You see it a lot in the women's game or in the men's around 5 meter serve spots, but yeah, typically off a line out. And even with that, it's just key to understand again, like position on the field where you are, both as like a referee and an AR about your position around those lineouts as well.
And there's also some teams that are really well known for it. So the Brumbies are really, really strong on line out to maul. The great South African teams of the 90s, 2000s in particular, I remember refereeing the Bulls and they would do rolling balls inside their half. And quite often they'd get most of the way to the try line. They were sensational at it.
And then I guess in terms of like where referees could be positioned, just the same as a regular line out, or if you know that it's a 5 meter one, have that conversation with your AR before about positioning.
Well, that's game context, isn't it? So where are we on the field? Are we on the halfway line? Are we 5 meters out?
Yeah.
What part of the game are we in? Is it the start, the middle, the end? What's the score? And
this could be the first small or the
that's right.
one. Yeah.
And what have the teams been doing? Is it a team that goes off the top and goes it to the electric winger, or is it a team that's got 8 big buffy blokes and their backs are spectators because they can't catch a cold? So they're probably going to go line out to maul in that scenario. So that gives you the context of what might happen, and then you've got to work out where to stand and what your AR's like. You might have a community AR who's still got the ciggy in the pie, in which case you're on your own and you've got to try and work out have they been going front pod, middle pod, back pod, or are they going to spin it at the backs? Well, then I'll probably stand at the back. They're going to do a loop around off the front of the line out to maul and then run through your channel. You better get moving. So there's a whole bunch of things to consider there.
Yeah, don't be on your heels, basically. Be very...
we do like to have a safe position to stand. I think with mauls, there's no safe spot. You've got to be moving constantly so that you can see the ball. See the ball. Dynamic's a great word. Be dynamic, because sometimes the mauls shift from right to left. Sometimes as they get near the line, they'll start to tuck in and get low, and it's bloody hard to see all mauls. There's no right position. There's a lot of ways to get it wrong.
And being at the front's not safe either, because so often now we're seeing quick moves at the front of the line out, and we see someone peeling off the back, and it might be the number 8 peeling off the back, running again through your channel to try and get that extra player in the tram tracks and buff the hooker and the little winger standing on the corner post going, ooh!
Yep.
Bless. So be on your feet basically and alert. So next it's the actual setup of, I guess, the line out to maul situation. So it's thrown, the jumpers caught it, they're going down. Props need to make sure that they're in I guess we've been told like a H, so they're not crossing or obstructing the jumper.
I always like to visualize, can the defenders see the number on the back of the ball carrier?
Jersey?
Yeah.
So that's a key sign, because I think for me in particular, the maul is also like a timed contest as well. So we need to make sure there's equal contest for that. And if someone's obstructing it, then that doesn't make it equal.
And we've got a trend as well of teams not contesting, like not wanting to contest them all because they're so worried about their inability to do so. So it's an interesting philosophy as a
that's
referee.
a
We don't
really
want to
interesting
reward
one as well.
we don't want to reward teams that are shirking the contest either. So there's a lot of laws around that formation that the ball carrying team's got to provide access to the ball carrier to the defenders. We don't want to reward the defenders for avoiding that contest as well. So they can't step off a line out. They can't shirk it.
Yeah. And technically it's not a maul because the other team hasn't joined. So they could just loop around.
Yeah.
It's just a
and
bunch of
tackle
blokes
the
having a
person
hug.
with the ball.
Yeah.
And we see that in
Yeah.
sevens where it's a lot of defenders and only the ball carrier, no ball carrier's teammates in there. That's not a maul either.
Correct.
So I think it's key, for those ones, the actual setup. So then once the ball is then that first person that rips it, they need to make sure that they're like bound, attached at some phase when they're
before
ripping
they
it.
rip it. Before they rip it. Yeah, that's right.
So the defenders have engaged.
There's a couple of things to look at before that as well. So you've got to look at has the non-throwing team let the jumper come to ground?
So no sacking, basically?
No, they're allowed to sack them, but they can't sack them in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And then the timing, do they get them to ground before or after a maul is formed? And that's one of the hardest parts to adjudicate because it all happens, again, that word dynamically. Did they sack them before or after there was a maul? If it's after the maul, then it's illegal. If it's before the maul, it's just a tackle.
For me, the philosophy on that is first engagement was an attempt to bring it down. If that's collectively, then that's also, it's a fair sacking in my opinion. But if there's four of them doing it, maybe that was a maul. So yeah, you can see how grey that can be. The other part of that before we get there is if the lifters are actually prolonging the hold, they're not allowed to leave the guy in the air indefinitely as well.
Yeah. And then you look at what happens to the lifters as well. So some more nuanced line-out defenders like to take the lifters out, and that's actually hard to spot because rather than sack the jumper, they take the lifter out, just at the right time when the ref's on the other side. And so the lifter goes down, the jumper goes down, and we just have it turns to custard, and you're going, what the hell happened there? And it looks like they've just dropped their jumper, which does also happen, which technically is a free kick, but it can also be the lifter being targeted. So, it's a long checklist.
Yeah, and it can be targeted by just chopping an arm out, which, it's really hard to spot those things.
Yeah, it is
very hard as a referee. I think we're inclined to watch the ball up the top of that line out, but sometimes it's better to watch at body level.
Yeah.
And now we don't have to be quite as scrupulous on the line out straightness. We can definitely avert our gaze down lower.
Yeah, if they're not contesting.
But it's another thing to watch. We've got to watch if there's been a contest as well.
I remember when I was working with the Wallabies there for a while, I think it was scrum coach, forwards coach, Marco Caputo said the best way to beat them all was not have them all. Contest the line out, win the line out. And if we lose the line out, we've lost them all. So sometimes that can be really hard to defend.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't necessarily want to win the ball there either. Like it's Sophie's choice, isn't it? And how often have we seen you win the maul against the throw and the ball goes into the in goal and it's chaos. You end up with a 5-meter scrum, which is arguably worse. So it's a tricky situation.
Tricky, so. but I love it. I don't know about you guys. It's one of the truly unique things about rugby. Like we have a contestable scrum, we have a really good maul structure, and it's also something I used to love as a kid, getting in there and doing the mauling, trying to rumble upfield, drag in the opposition, and then walk them upfield when they don't want to be going there.
Yeah,
it's great.
And I think with the maul as well, it's just making sure it's just all those other players joining in and making sure they're joining in from the back. I think as a referee, you also need to make sure, that's why we said dynamic. So if you're seeing players from the defending team getting a weird angle, you know what I mean? Because it all shifts and moves around. You need to be like really dynamic in telling them to move out of the way and that as well.
We have those big lanky second rowers with their arms and they're swimming up through the maul.
I love doing that. It's one of my favorite
things. And I love
watching
that. Yeah, I love watching that. And whether they're legally moving through the maul, and it can be done. You see some absolutely terrific exponents of it. Nick Frost at the moment seems to have an ability to just wade through a maul, and he's in the middle of the maul. He's allowed to do it.
Yeah, he and Darcy Swain are both very good at it. They come through the middle.
Which is key, guys. Through the middle. Not
not swimming around the side.
As opposed to swimming around the side, which is not kosher. So
because there is an offside line. Once the mauls form, there's offside lines. So it's both like the players in the maul, and then there's the backs as well that need to move when the maul is moving. as well.
Yeah. Don't forget the ninja that comes through the middle of the mall, not the big second row that everyone sees with the arms and legs, sort of, the giraffe on steroids, but, the sneaky little 7 or the hooker who burrows in under cover of darkness and gets their mitts on the ball. And then what happens? It just somehow stops or miraculously goes to ground.
I think what Rob just said, quite often when the ball is contested in a mall, so that ninja or the giraffe get through there, it's really important to know who's taking it to ground. And sometimes it's the ball carrier wants to get to ground with the thought that if I do that, I'll be able to push the ball back. Sometimes it's out of panic. Sometimes it's out of desperation. Sometimes it's because they're right and they can get it out. Bearing in mind that a maul that goes to ground is not a ruck per se. The maul laws still apply.
Until the ball hits the ground.
Yes. But if it's contested on the ground, the person who's on it doesn't have to release it. Really important one. So if it's brought down, not collapsed, the ball carrier and an opposition on it, they don't have to let go. And we as referees should blow that up very quickly because that's where it gets dangerous.
Yeah, but the maul does end when the ball is touching the ground. So we've got to differentiate between that and when it goes to ground, but it's not on the ground. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. But it's a collapsed maul. If it's contested, it's not a new ruck. It's a collapsed maul.
So then that's why usually it ends up being rewarded to the defending team if it's not
with a turnover. Yeah,
available also immediately and the ball is on the ground.
I think that
it's really clear.
The distinction there for me, Rob, is if it's the team that entered the maul with the ball, take it to ground and are on the ground and they release it back. That can become a ruck. But if it's contested and the pair of them go to ground with it, they don't have to release. That's a collapse maul. And as a referee, we need to be really clear in our communication there and pretty quick on the whistle, I've got to say.
Yeah, and that's when a maul ends unsuccessfully, and that's when you got to blow it up. So there's lots of nuance in that.
And we also, you mentioned before the nuance of it's not a time thing. Sometimes a maul can go on a long time. Sometimes we need to reward the defenders if they stop it once and then it doesn't get moving. We need to reward a good maul defense by saying use it.
Yeah, and there's different languages. People say it's going sideways, it's like standstill, like if it's going sideways, use it once, just being really clear on like why you're saying it. And sometimes I've seen now some referees saying, get ready to use it as well. So they're pre-warning the 9 to like get prepared to use it because I guess they're anticipating it's starting to slow down now, which is an interesting call as well.
Yeah.
And we've got to remember the maul movement has to be towards a try line.
Yes.
So lateral movement does not count. So that's really important to understand as well. So the defending team drives it sideways. That's enough. That means the onus is then on the team in possession to use it.
I like that. And it's one of the dynamic parts of the game that I really enjoy. I enjoy refereeing, and you get some teams who are so clinical at it. You get some teams who accidentally do it well, and then the next time they try it, they lose the ball. But it's a good part of the game. And a rarity for me is when there's a maul not from a line-out, and I actually really like the teams that are brave enough to try that. Can we finish on my favourite maul story? My favourite maul story, I went to the Mudgee Sevens back in the deep, dark 90s, and there was a team from Burke, and they turned up and they smelt badly of rum. They had taken 2 days to get to Mudgee, and I think they took a week to get home. And on the Saturday morning, round 1, they were drawn against the best team, the team that had won it for the previous 3 years, chock full of Fijians. The Fijians kicked off to them. They caught it, 7-man rolling maul. And the Burke boys stunk, absolutely stunk. And the Fijian guys probably weren't big drinkers, and they went in there and like, oh, no. and they walked them all upfield. Took them 2 minutes to get their try. Kick the conversion. They had to kick off to the Fijians. The Fijians won the balls. 8 seconds, end to end, try. Missed the conversion. And this went back and forth. And the Burke boys won. The Burke boys won.
Wow. Yin and yang.
That's
I love
funny.
it, Pearcey.
Absolute
That's what's so good about
blowout.
rugby.
Unfortunately, the Burke boys didn't win another game, but they did have the best weekend out of everyone there at the tournament.
I'm sure they did.
Gotta love rugby.
Yeah. That's a good way to defend them all. Stink of rum.
Yeah, and that's a very Australian characteristic, that one. So it might have taken them 2 days to get there because they went via Bundaberg.
Yes.
The Battle of the Bees. Hey, I'm going to throw a quirk in to wrap up our Maul chat. So this is 16-19. If a Maul is formed immediately after a player has directly caught an opponent's kick in open play, a scrum that is awarded for any of the above reasons will be to the team of the ball catcher.
Yep. That's one of my ones because I have a visual of that South African referee going like this and then rewarding it to the team that obviously caught it. And it's like ingrained in my head in the off chance that it does happen.
It's a little known part of our law. It confuses a lot of people. And it's another one of those immediately or without delay ones that we have that also causes dramas. So the guy catches it, runs 5 meters and then gets caught in the Maul. Bad luck.
Doesn't apply.
Guy catches it and everyone arrives at the same time. Maul, the exception applies.
Yeah, because I guess it's just giving the players time to set up, which isn't in this case. So, yeah. Not a fair contest, basically.
Was that like the late 90s, Rob, from memory, that one came in?
It's
Candace, you went alive?
Yeah, it's been in for a while. It's been in as long as I've been refereeing in my second iteration of refereeing. I don't remember it in my first.
I reckon it was about 97. I reckon it was about then.
Yeah, and of course the exception to that is a kickoff, right? So you've got the exception to the exception. So a bit tricky that one.
Sweet.
Awesome. I love the quickies with Candace.
Thanks, guys, for listening to the Maul Quickie. If you have any ideas of other ones, let us know. We can talk about Mauls all day. But thank you all for listening.
Love a good mauling.
See you later.
Au revoir.